All right, y'all, so let's get into it. Today, I'm going to be teaching you guys how I like to make my apple cider, a fall classic, but something that I drink throughout the entire winter. And yes, that is my cookbook, Cultural Mosaic of Food Tour Around the Globe. Get yourself a copy, honey. It's in the link in my bio. Let's get back to it. So what you're going to need, which is my secret ingredient, which I guess is not going to be so damn secret since I'm telling y'all, is star anise, ground nutmeg, whole cloves, cinnamon sticks. I have 4 pounds of gala apples and 4 pounds of honey crisp. I have 2 oranges here, dark brown sugar. You can use light, that's totally fine. You're also going to need a potato masher. I have a 1-gallon container here that I'm going to be storing it in. And then of course you're going to need some water and white sugar. You see that? You see that? You see that? You see that? Don't ask me for the damn ingredient list, honey. Come on. So before I even get too far into the video, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I clean these apples up. So I'm going to lightly spray them down with this and then rinse them off before we start to chop them. If you don't have this, it's totally fine, honey. Just wipe them down with water and vinegar. It's totally fine. Okay, you guys, so I have all 8 pounds of my apples here and my oranges that I have already cleaned. So now all I'm essentially going to do is chop these down. You don't have to do it any particular way. What I will say is in regards to the apples, I do like to remove the core from them. That's just a preference thing. You don't have to if you don't want to, but that's just what I like to do. So I'm just gonna go in, chop them down. You do not have to chop them down too small. They're gonna cook for so long that they are going to break down, but I do remove the core. So I'm gonna go in, continue to break all of these down, and then I will be back momentarily. Down in the comment section, let me know what desserts you guys wanna see me attempt to make. You know, it is November. It's around that time of year. The holidays are coming up. Everybody's going to be wanting a sweet treat of some kind, but I want to make sure that I'm making stuff that is easy for everyone to make, not something that's super, super complicated. And also just understand this, I am not a cake snob. Some of you guys should know this, and you might already know this, but some of your fave places that have desserts and cakes and stuff, they're using box cake mix. You just don't realize it. And that's not really a secret within the industry. I just think a lot of people think that everybody's out here just making cakes from scratch, and that's just not the case. So if there are any homemade recipes that you guys want to see me make, just let me know down in the comment section and I will happily oblige and try to get that done for you as soon as I possibly can. But for now, I'm going to get back to chopping these down and I will be back once this is all done. And just letting you guys know, I will be making this recipe in a large stock pot. You can absolutely do this in a crock pot if you would like, but I'm going to be doing it in this just because I have the time to do it today. But you can do this in a crock pot. As I finish them, I'm just going to be tossing them directly into this pot. Just like so. Alrighty, so now that I have my pot full of the apples and the oranges, I'm now going to take the 1-gallon container full of water and I'm going to fill up this pot with the water. Cover it up, just like so. And then I'm going to fill this up halfway one more time. So I'm actually going to fill it up to the 2-quart mark. And I know you might be thinking, TY, that's way too much water, but understand because this is going to be cooking for so long, a lot of it's going to evaporate out of the pan. So I would rather have way more apple cider than not enough. So that's the reason why I like to fill it all the way up with the 1 gallon and then add in an additional 2 quarts of water. I absolutely love cinnamon in mine, so I add in 6. You can add in less. That's completely up to you. And as I said, my secret ingredient is star anise, but star anise is super, super potent, so you only need to add in 1. If you are able to find whole nutmeg, then by all means, absolutely use a whole one. I'm going to be adding in 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of the whole cloves, a 1/2 cup of white sugar. And then I will also be adding in 1 cup of tightly packed dark brown sugar. I like to use the dark brown because of the molasses, but you can absolutely use light brown. That's totally fine. Now, as far as the sugar is concerned, you can make it sweeter. You can make it less sweet. That's completely up to you. I find that this is perfect for the amount of liquid that I have in there. I've now turned on the heat. I'm going to allow this to simmer for the first hour, and then we'll come in. Once all of the fruit is nice and soft, we'll mash it down and then we'll continue to go from there. But for right now, just turn the heat on so that it comes to a low simmer, place the top on it, set the timer for 1 hour. And because I want to make sure that my apple cider ends up nice and smooth, not only am I going to be using cheesecloth, but I also have a strainer here, a fine mesh strainer. What I will be doing is I will be placing the fine mesh strainer directly on the top, but I will also be placing cheesecloth inside of that so that it's getting, siphoned through twice so that it's nice and smooth. Alrighty guys, so our apples have been going for 1 hour. So you want to carefully first remove the lid. And this is the trick when it comes to the star anise. When making this, you only want to keep the star anise in for the first hour. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to take that out. If I were to leave this in there the entire 3-hour time that it's going to take for this to cook, this will become very bitter and you don't want that. This has already released a lot of flavor into it, so we can go on ahead and discard that. Now, because of the sheer amount of liquid that I've placed in here, you could, if you wanted to, go in with your potato masher and mash it down, but I just don't find that safe or smart to do at all. So I'm going to go in with this strainer here, and I'm going to carefully remove my apples from out of the pot and place them into an oversized bowl. I'm going to repeat that step for the entire for the entire pot. You can leave the oranges in there if you want. You don't have to really worry about mashing down the oranges, but you essentially just want to get everything out of the pot. Leave the pot staying on. Don't turn the heat off, because as soon as we're done mashing them, we're going to place them directly back into the pot. I've gone ahead and taken those oranges out, and now I'm just going to give this a nice mashing. Doesn't have to be perfect. Don't put it in a food processor. It's not necessary to do all of that. You just want to kind of really break it down. The more you break it down, the more flavors will be extracted from the skins, all of that. This is all just goodness. And then all of this is going to go directly back into the pot. Now that I've gotten it nice and mashed, I'm just going to place it directly back into the pot. And be nice and careful, because remember that liquid is boiling. So, take your time and just put it all back into the pot. Now that I have everything in the pot, I'm going to place the lid back on this and allow this to go for 2 hours. At this point, you want it to be at a low simmer, not a raging boil. Alrighty, you guys, so we are now down in the last 30 minutes. So let me give you guys an update on what we have done so far. As we all know, all apples are not made equally. So sometimes they're going to be sweet, sometimes they're not going to be. So you have to make the adjustments as you go. So let me give you an update. In total, there is 1.5 cups of white granulated sugar that I've added to this. In total, there's 16 ounces of dark brown sugar. So that's about two packed cups. In total, I have added in 3 1/4 teaspoons of the ground nutmeg, and I've also added in a 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. Those are the adjustments that I have made to the pot since we've last seen each other. And now the spice and the sweetness is exactly where I want it to be. The best thing that I can tell you guys is just to make sure that you're tasting it as you go. You don't want to make it overly sweet for your palate. This is perfect for me. It's not too sweet, but it's just right. And as far as the spice is concerned, that's another thing, taste it as you go. You might not want as much nutmeg or as much cinnamon in yours. I love the pungent taste of the cinnamon in mine. So that's the reason why I do it the way I do it. I'm going to allow this to go for the last 20 minutes or so, and then we can start to strain it. All right, you guys, so we are good to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to carefully start to just ladle this through my strainer. At this point, I'm not worrying about the cheesecloth or anything like that. I'm just allowing this to go through its first passage, and then we will let it go through the cheesecloth eventually. So for right now, just let it run through. Totally fine if little bits and pieces get through. We're going to end up running it through once again anyway, so don't stress yourself out about that. Alrighty, so let me give you guys a rundown of what we've just done. We've just removed all of the liquid, the apples, the spices, the oranges, everything from out of the pot. We just did the first run through of just the liquid, just to get the liquid separated from the meat of the pot. In this bowl here is what I would like to call the apple sauce, okay? In this bowl here, I have separated and I've taken out the oranges and I've counted out my cinnamon sticks so that way when I go to squeeze this through the cheesecloth, I don't have to worry about the cheesecloth breaking. What I'm going to do now is allow this to kind of cool off enough so that I can handle it, because as you can see, there's a lot of liquid in there and we don't want to waste any of that flavor. So we're going to be squeezing that through a cheesecloth, but we want to allow that to cool off. If you would like, you can squeeze the juice out of the oranges. I don't find it necessary, so everything that's in this can be officially discarded at this point. Alrighty, you guys. So while we're waiting for our applesauce to kind of cool down in the background and be able to squeeze all the liquid out of that, we can, however, start to strain the liquid that's in this bowl directly into the final container. I have a small wire mesh strainer right here that I've also lined with some cheesecloth. I'm going to place the strainer directly over top of it, and then I'm going to be ladling in the liquid through this. This is going to help catch any debris. Just wanted to show you guys up close. This is the reason why I like to run it through a strainer. All those like little bits and pieces, you don't want that to be in the final drink, or it's going to end up having like a gritty taste. You want your apple cider to be extremely smooth. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that it actually turned out to be the perfect amount of liquid that was just simply in the bowl. I haven't even gone over to the applesauce yet and strained that through a cheesecloth yet. So I'm likely just going to do that off camera and put that in a separate bowl. But I just wanted you guys to see that that has turned out to be the perfect amount. So that's how I like to make my apple cider. I like to drink mine nice and warm. Sometimes I'll throw a little shot of Jameson in it to kind of spice things up. I probably will use it at some point in time to make some apple cider donuts. You never know. Stay tuned for the video. And if you have not done so, check out the link in my bio. Get yourself a copy of my cookbook, Cultural Mosaic, a food tour around the globe, because it is available right now. So get yourself a copy, honey. I love y'all so much. Talk to you soon, honey.